Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Network podcast, brought to you by PlayNFC.com.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. This is the High Stakes Fantasy Network podcast on YouTube. This is a special draft edition. That's right, the first round of the NFL draft. Believe it or not, it's almost done. The NFL somehow got 32 rounds in 3 hours, Jeff. Did it still feel long or what?
No, they were coming fast and furious there for a little bit. I guess everything's made for TV these days. I kind of miss the old days where you'd get those 5-6 hour ones,
No.
You could make of course, that was, when they were Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, this prime time, again, made for TV now.
Yeah, no doubt. What's funny was they were like 3 behind. And so they couldn't wait any longer. I just went on Twitter and I found the next 3, So I think a lot of people were going to Twitter and finding it out, but very interesting. Real quickly. So tonight we have a special draft for you. It's the Footballguys Online Championship, $300,000 grand prize. That's a record for us. Again, that's news. Footballguys being our title sponsor. That's news. We welcome them very much. Dave Klug of Footballguys.com is in this draft. So, we're going to have the draft board up here pretty shortly, or just take a kind of look, see what we got. There you go, 12 teams, 20 rounds. We'll do about the first 10 rounds, 12 rounds or so. But let's see where those rookies went and such like that. And hopefully we'll have a special guest join us tonight as well. It won't be just Jeff and I. But Jeff, real quick, let's just talk about the draft picks tonight. So Jeremiah Love, the Notre Dame super running back, goes 3rd overall to Arizona. Thumbs up or thumbs down on that landing spot?
I mean, it seems like the consensus is thumbs down. Obviously, it's not a Jacoby Brissett-led offensive line questions. And, James Conner's still there. They signed Tyler Algier in the offseason. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out. I think he's going to be a offensive weapon, lots of pass catching, stuff like that. But workhorse, maybe not right off the bat. So we'll have to see where he goes. Will he be, a late first rounder like Genty was last year? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And they got Trey Benson there. So you're absolutely right. It's a loaded backfield there. I don't like the landing spot. If I go on to Washington, probably would have been better. Maybe even the Giants. Carnell Tate going to Tennessee. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
They needed a wide receiver. They needed a number 1. I'm going to go, I wasn't really impressed by him in college. Those Ohio State receivers, he was a good receiver, a good college receiver, but I never thought I was watching the number 4 pick in the NFL draft when you watch Carnell Tate play at Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm going to say down as well. It helps Tennessee, but from a fantasy standpoint, I don't like it as much. Let's go all the way down to Philadelphia. They traded with the Cowboys. Makai Lemon of USC, man, he was supposed to go 13th to the Rams. He goes there. That means A.J. Brown's probably out. So before we get started here, quick thoughts on that, A.J. Brown and Lemon going to the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that was kind of our talk pre-show here. So I think that's kind of the biggest fantasy news or fantasy impact of all this, is it means A.J. Brown's heading somewhere, probably New England. Again, we can make all the Mike Vrabel jokes you want with the scoop and all that, but it seems like Brown's leaving town and Lemon's the guy there. Does he automatically become, the 1A, 1B with Smith, and you got your old Green Bay guy there too. Draft is starting up. So, but anyway, I think that's like the biggest news from the night is A.J. Brown on the move.
He's definitely on the move. He's going to, like you said, Mike Vrabel's team. Man, Vrabel and Rossini, they've got more pictures of them kissing than me and my wife have pictures of ourselves kissing. All right, here we go. We're started out here. The first nightly online championship draft of the season, $300,000 grand prize. There's a $350 entry fee, $1,500 to the league champion, $700 to the runner-up in the league. Top 2 teams from each league advance to the championship round. Jahmyr Gibbs, your Detroit guy, he goes ahead of Bijan Robinson. Have we been seeing that a lot this year or not?
It's been mostly Bijan from all the extended slow drafts that we've been doing. So team 1 must like that offensive lineman that they picked from Clemson. The Detroit offensive line wasn't as good last year. And obviously Gibbs still put up huge numbers. Imagine what he can do in that backfield if that line is back to its the form it had when the Lions were winning a lot there. So hard to argue with Gibbs number 1, Gibbs, Bijan, I think you can even make the case for Chase as number one. He was last year. So
Yep.
hard to go wrong with any of these top three. Then you get to 4, Puka. Obviously, it's been quite the off season for that guy. So
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like, what you could be considered negative news is really affecting his fantasy profile yet.
No, not at all. Just talking about Gibbs, like you said, they lost Taylor Decker, right? And so this rookie is kind of replacing a veteran, but they got some work to do on the offensive line. Bijan, absolutely 1 or 2. I'd take him number 1 myself. Chase goes 3, and Puka has not dropped out of the top 5. I was on RotoWire radio show last week. They said, "Do you think he'll drop out?" And it's like, you know what? Probably not. He's doing the right thing in the offseason. He's going to get help. He's going to be at camp. He's already at OTAs right now. So you hope that he's doing the right thing. He's obviously made some stupid mistakes and such, but
and you mentioned the wide receiver rumors with their first round pick they have. They drafted a backup quarterback early on, so he's going to be the man in that offense again. He's going to just get fed a lot. So I think it's probably the right move. But again, I'm kind of surprised that some folks aren't being a little tad more cautious given everything going on.
Yeah, what I said on the RotoWire show is I'd actually take JSN ahead of him right now. So he's a little more safer with a great team, a good quarterback and all that. Obviously, Nakua's got a great quarterback. They're obviously not worried about him, or they would have drafted Lemon tonight, I think. So, all right, JSN goes 5, Christian McCaffrey 6, Jonathan Taylor 7, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We got 2 Lions in the first round at 8, James Cook at 9, CeeDee Lamb at 10, and Drake London at 11. So looking good there. I'm looking at the average draft position.
Pretty chalk compared to what the average draft position has been.
Yep.
Nothing sticking out too much, at least to me, right.
So the only thing that would stick out to me is Ashton Genty has been going in the first round, right? Like we only have 5 running backs going in the top 12 picks. We've been seeing more of that in the best balls. Genty's been going there. Devon Achan's been going there. But just interesting. But I mean, they're not falling far. It's just that we've seen a little bit of that in the best ball. Again, this is set your lineup go, if you will. Here goes Chris Olave goes to team 12, 13th overall. Okay, that's higher than his ADP. His ADP is 25, and I wanted to talk about him because I think, and I said this on the RotoWire show, I think he's this year's JSN. If he can stay healthy without the concussions, and last year he was relatively healthy, right? He could be this year's JSN. What do you think?
And he's an interesting one to me too. With the Saints taking a wide receiver with their first round pick, so does he maybe get a few less targets? Does that maybe take some of the pressure off of him? So there could be positives there could be negatives there. I think him going the first pick around too, saying that that I think people are looking at that as a positive, and I think people are looking at him in that offense as a positive. If he stays healthy, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I agree. But like Steve says, that's the highest he's seen Olave go all year. Again, his ADP in our best balls is 25. I wanted to talk to him about tonight. You beat me to the punch, so now we get to talk about him. But good stuff there for sure. Will, you're absolutely right. Time for another great year of NFFC ahead. Glad to start it out with a live stream tonight. I'm going to do one on Saturday if we fill the OC. I'm going to do one on Sunday if we fill the OC. So come and join us. Jump in there. Sunday looks like it's got the best chance to fill, but I want to do a lot of live streams this year. So, hey, there we go. Ashton Genty goes right now. So that's pick 17 as we get a little run of running backs here. Hampton, Achan, and Chase Brown there. But Genty, that's 17. Let me just see what his max is. In our best ball championships over the last month, his max pick is 12. So this obviously online championship, but that sets a pretty good start by team 8 with St. Brown and Genty.
Yeah, I like that start a lot. When you look at those two guys, could you mentioned Genty's a first rounder a lot. St. Brown. We talked about the Lions. There's no reason to think that St. Brown just isn't going to be fed a ton again this year. So excellent start to team 8. I'd take that any day of the week.
I see, strength of schedule is tough to analyze right now. So many changes are going to happen, but I read that the Lions have the easiest schedule of the year. Last year, that NFC North had a terrible, tough schedule. All right, there's Jeremiah Love. We got him at 19th. He lands with the Arizona Cardinals. We wanted to see where he went. Look at that. Genty, Barkley, Love. Look at the running backs here, 6 in a row. in
A lot
round
of
2.
green and a lot of teams going 2 running backs to start here. Team
3 of
9,
them.
Team
Yep.
7, Team 6, running
Yep.
back. So,
Yep.
man, I don't know. Admittedly, I'm not too far along in my football prep for the year, but do you have a preference out of any of these running backs that have gone in the second round? They all kind of seem like tremendous upside, obviously,
Yeah.
but some downside and questions as well with all of them. Do you
Yeah.
have a favorite of these? What is it, 6 or 7 that have gone here?
Well, Genti was one I targeted last year in our auction league and another draft that I had. Like, I think I got him 10th in our best ball one that we did together. So I had him twice, and he didn't produce first round value, right? Like, he wasn't a bad player. He started out terrible. He had a lot of single digit ones the first 2-3 weeks, but then he got a little better. But so Genti is the one. If the quarterback situation, I mean, Kirk Cousins is probably going to start there to start out the season, the first couple games at least, maybe more than that. So I think they'll have competent quarterback play there. Gino was just terrible last year, and that'll open things up. I like Genti. I think Barkley's going to have a much better year. I mean, look at Jonathan Taylor Barkley's start. Would you take that?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Sign me
right?
up for that.
Yeah, CMC and Jeremiah Love. I mean, there's upside there. There's risk on both of those. But for me, Taylor and Barkley, well done, Team 7.
Look at the Puka
Yeah.
Rasheed Rice team. That's a
Rolling the dice, baby.
That's an interesting build. Let's just hope those guys are both available week 1 for you.
Roll the dice, baby. Okay, see, here's another one. Malik Neighbors, I wanted to talk about him. I think his ADP is right around 23 or 24 in ours. Great talent, but man, that ACL injury, or that knee injury was a bad one. And so I'm a little concerned with him possibly starting on the pup. We'll see. All right, for those of you who aren't familiar with NFFC, we do third round reversal. So we go all the way back to Team 12 to start round 3. Why do we do that? Because it balances out every draft spot. It really does. The last thing Team 1 needs right now is the first pick of this round. So Team 12, you are on the clock, and this is the way we do it. Jeff, what do you think? Third round reversal, you like it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Evens things out a little bit. My goodness gracious, another wide receiver, and here we go, AJ Brown. We're talking about, so yeah, 3 wide receivers to start. The whole 0 running back again. I'm a little behind in my process for the year. I don't know who the darlings are going to be. Usually I feel like the 3 are, excuse me, the no running back, 0 running back darling has kind of been James Conner the last 5 years. So
Right.
We'll see if he's going to still go in round 5 with Jeremiah Love there.
Right. 2 years ago it was James Cook and James Conner, right? And those were great at rounds 5 and 6, right on the turn or whatever. 4, 5, 5, 6. We'll see. Like you say, I haven't looked myself. We do see in our third round reversal, Team 11 and 12 do load up on wide receivers. So we'll see if that's a trend this year, but certainly in past years, that seems like it was. So let's talk AJ Brown. It says Philadelphia on his sticker today, June 1st. They have to wait until June 1st for salary cap reasons to trade him. He's going to New England. Does that give him more value or less value, Jeff?
I think it's going to give him more value when you
Yeah.
really think about it.
I do too.
There's been, I don't want to say the hit pieces on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles passing offense this year. I think having Drake May as a quarterback, I like him as a downfield passer. Not exactly a downfield passer. Hurts is a good deep ball thrower, but as far as like the intermediate routes, over the middle, all that kind of stuff, I think May can take advantage of Brown's talents a lot better than Hurts can. So I really think him at the start of round 3, he might be a guy we see sneak into the middle of round 2 by the time our September drafts come around at Caesar's Palace.
Yep. No, I agree with you a lot. And I think it does give him more value. Steve says after that Love pick, he's talking about Jeremiah Love. He almost retired from fantasy. Now, Steve's been doing a lot of drafting early, and I think he had Tyler Algier. So that's why those shares of Tyler Algier just plummeted tonight. And like you said, Jeff, I mean, they have plenty of running backs. Hey, he could still be a TD vulture. Something could happen to Love. Maybe he doesn't play as much as we think, but if you were in on Algier, that was a tough one, no doubt, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm glad the Cards made a splash too. I mean, if you're the fan base, I go out to Phoenix in November every year, and I go to a Cardinals bar, And by November, they're out of the race, and the people don't even show up for their games. I mean, it's still fun and stuff, but last year they were losing by halftime. The games were over and stuff. Make a splash,
I was
right?
gonna say, I
I'm
think
all
that's a
for it.
good business model, Cardinals Bar, because their fans got to do a lot of drinking. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Jay says he likes the Bijan neighbors. All right, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But again, my feeling on neighbors is I'm worried about the knee injury. But we'll see. Maybe these guys come back faster from knee injuries, and I'm sure hoping Micah Parsons comes back in 9 months. So if I'm going to be an optimist there, I probably should be an optimist on Malik Neighbors as well. All right, third round, we're still look at Team 7, 3 running backs in a row.
yeah, interesting. Again, we'll see what receivers he targets a little later on. But
Yep.
here we go, Ted McMillan.
Let's talk about that, because he was the darling last year in our very high stakes. Like by the platinum, he was going 12th.
Yeah,
He was going in the 12, 13 in the diamond and the platinum. He was going middle of second round, like 18th, 17th. Now he goes in the third round when we've seen how good this guy can be. Is that a reflection of no confidence in Bryce Young, maybe?
it may be. He had an up and down rookie season. He looked great at some times and
Yep.
dropped some easy passes at other times. Again, he seems like an upside guy. When you look at like the George Pickens of the world, I love Pickens, but
Yep.
again, he's a number 2 receiver. So
Yep.
I think you might see McMillan come September ahead of the Pickens of the world. We mentioned AJ Brown, but even you mentioned neighbor issue, Rashee Rice.
Right.
I would put McMillan and Rice kind of about the same level, just personally. And again, I'm sure these guys drafting tonight are miles and miles ahead of myself. But McMillan seems like a guy that can get steamed pretty heavy come this summer.
Yep. All right. So we had the first tight end went to Trey McBride, was picked 21. Bowers goes at 24. And then Josh Allen, he goes as the first quarterback in round 3. I guess it's not surprising that quarterbacks are going round 3, but last year we saw a bunch of them going round 2. And Jay, yes, it was fun when the Cards played at Tempe at Sun Devil Stadium. That was kind of cool. There was a sports bar that I used to go to across the street from there. But back then, Cards fans, tough to be found for sure. What about the quarterbacks? Are you surprised that Allen is the first one at, what is he, 32 or so, 31?
That seems pretty on par with what we've been seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably got his best offensive weapons is Stephon Diggs now with DJ Moore in town. We'll see if they what they add here in the draft. You got to think something's coming.
Yeah.
But hard to argue against that one. Josh Allen is the first quarterback taken. Just what he can do with his legs is huge. And some of the other guys have kind of taken a step back. I feel like your Burrow's going to be up there. Obviously, Lamar's going to be up there. Mahomes isn't quite the option he used to be.
Yeah.
Even I mentioned the question surrounding Hurts earlier. So Allen, I think, has pretty solidified himself as the number 1 quarterback. And I think for good reason.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we had 5 running backs in the first round, 7 running backs, including 6 in a row in round 2. So we had 12 running backs, 10 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends in the first 24 picks. So we love it. So, hey, we got a special guest we said we were going to bring in tonight. He's drafting right now. We're going to bring him to the stage right now. Abib, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me tonight.
Thanks for being here. Can we say what team you are, or you don't want to give it away tonight?
Agbatoba. I think I just got I have my last name. I don't think I've updated the username just yet.
That's okay. That's okay. So your team, say what team number you are.
Team 8.
Team 8. I like the start. That's a very nice start. And we were just commenting about it. Not that we were buttering you up, but we love Jeff's a Lions fan, so he loves St. Brown. I love Genty. Don't you think Genty, that's about as low as you're seeing him in drafts right now?
Yeah. I think that sort of, kind of goes at the back end or the end of the first, second.
Yeah. Right.
And I mean, I feel like there's a lot of reasons to love him this year. Kubiak coming in. Yep. I don't want to say we have a grown man and an adult in the room now, but given what he did last year with Seattle, what he did the year before with New Orleans before all the injuries, what he did in Minnesota. I mean, he has a track record. So I'm all over Genty this year.
And, Kirk Cousins probably will be starting quarterback. I would think the first couple games. I think that's a little better than Geno Smith, right? So I think we'll be fine. Okay, so we're going to let you make your pick here. You concentrate there. Does anybody know who Abib is? Does anybody know? Could you raise your hand? Anybody in the audience here? Does anybody know that this man has won millions of dollars playing fantasy football? Can we say that or not? It's a true fact, right?
I prefer to just sort of kind of wait and
lay low. Lay low. Okay. Well, we're hitting you up for a loan when you're done, when we get you off the air here, just so you know. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm on the clock here. And yeah, all right, we're going to go Zay Flowers.
There you go.
All right.
All right, so you've been doing a lot of drafts so far. You're new to the NFFC. I'm welcoming you right now. We're so happy to have you playing over here as well. What's your thoughts on the third round reversal? It's kind of new to you probably, but what do you think of the third round reversal?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Anything that we can do to kind of spice things up a little bit.
There you go.
And create a little bit of diversity amongst drafts. Sometimes if it's the same format across the board, it gets a little bit mundane. It gets a little bit old. I think, adding in things like the third round reversal, or even being able to, rank your draft slots, the 3 wide receiver start with the flex. I love all of that. And I'm a big believer in let's start as many guys as possible, especially in this day and age. When everyone is just an expert and everyone is really, really good. Everyone has access to, just a fountain, water, of information. So absolutely. I'm loving the format so far.
Good. Well, you're doing well so far. So, all right. So
just real quick, I seen Steve put in the chat back-to-back champ, but I don't know if he's talking about Abib or my 2009-2010 home league champion. So I'm not sure which one's.
I don't think Steve is aware of that at this point.
Okay.
Your accomplishments. He's talking about Abib back-to-back overall champion in another contest, $1 million, unprecedented. May never happen again. We've been running, like, the classic is 22 years. We have 22 different overall champions. We've run the primetime 18 years. We've had 17 different champions. Chad Schroeder has won it twice. We've run the online championship, I think, 18 years, and I've had 18 different champions. So for you to do what you did, man, is historical. All right. And you're something else. And so we welcome you here. All right. I know our guys want more guppies, but we welcome you here in the NFFC.
I appreciate it. Definitely takes a bit of luck. Definitely takes a bit of, good fortune. So I'm definitely not above, saying that things fell, very well for me those years. So,
yeah. Well, fantasy football, let's admit, we do need some luck, right? You need good health. You need a lot of things. You probably need multiple teams too, right? To diversify your intelligence and stuff like that. So it all comes into play. But when you beat thousands and thousands of people, that's crazy. Like, I haven't done it yet. Jeff's beaten 11 people. That's about it. So
I think that was actually a 10-team league I won back to back for the record.
Yeah, 2009 probably. All right, you're on the clock. Abib, you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got Genty, you got Bruce Hall, you got Flowers, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs. You got a lot of ways you can go here.
Yeah. And this is the beauty, like you said, you do multiple drafts because I got about 4 or 5 guys in the queue right here. And so we'll diversify as we go. Sometimes you're just kind of feeling it and you want to take chances. So I'm going to take a little bit of a chance right here with Mike Evans. Let's hope the hamstring holds. Really, I just need him down the stretch. I don't mind him missing a couple of games. Just don't miss the games that I need.
Yeah. Well, great landing spot for him, I think, in San Francisco. Shanahan will really know how to use him, obviously. Purdy throws a good ball. Just throw it up in the air. Mike will go get it. Like you say, I'm sitting here right now. My hamstrings are tight, so I hear what he's saying, But yeah, definitely there. Hey, let me ask you about the quarterback situation, because in our scoring format, it's 6 points per passing TD, different than 4 points in the format that you're used to. Thoughts on that? Does it make you jump up a quarterback? Obviously, we've only got 2 off the board right now, but how are you planning with the quarterbacks this year?
I feel like across the landscapes, quarterbacks have been pushed down quite a bit down the board. And prioritizing the passing TDs a little bit more in this format is important to me. So I haven't changed the strategy as much. I think, before I'd play a game of chicken and oftentimes really wait. Every year, I try to just kind of identify that one guy who's a late round value, and I've been fortunate enough. Lamar was one of those teams that took it all when he was going into double-digit rounds.
Really,
it's one of those strategies where you take the upside pick and you take the quote unquote floor pick. I mean, I think everyone or a lot of people use that strategy, and I think it's one that works really, really well. And so I really try to pride myself, or I try to focus on getting as many skill position players as possible. The board kind of tends to thin itself out quite a bit. So we'll add in a couple of these high end quarterbacks throughout the draft season, but for the most part, you'll probably find me waiting quite a bit.
Well, and you're not alone, right, Geoff? I mean, last year at this time, how many quarterbacks were off the board? We probably had 3 go in the second round, a couple more. We're looking at 2 right now at the first 55 picks. This is even uncommon for NFFC, but that's what's going to happen this year because they're all pretty much interchangeable. Am I right or not? Geoff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yep. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And we mentioned finding that jewel in the rough. I think Drake May was the one that was on a lot of our top teams last year. He was the one that, people took late and shot him up to the top of the draft board. So who's going to be this year's Drake May? Will it even matter? Because we're going to have some pretty big names going in the middle rounds here, it looks like, just based on how this one's going.
Yeah. No, year before Brock Purdy, right? I mean, he was certainly double digits and really did well and stuff. So, the quarterbacks will be interesting. But I think I'm with the group here. I want my running backs and wide receivers right now. Even the tight ends are being laid off a little bit. Colston Loveland, real interesting that he's the 3rd tight end. Not that he shouldn't be. He looked really good at the end of last year. But, boy, that was a guy that was hard to even start in the first half of last season, right? I know.
Yeah. I wanted to bring that up. All these Bears pass catchers all kind of going around here. You got Loveland, Burden, and Odunze all kind of going within the same range there. There's definitely some upside to be had in that Ben Johnson offense with no more DJ Moore around. So all 3 have high upside. But, I mean, would it surprise you if they all kind of spread the wealth? If one of them just went off? I'm not so sure how to gauge that situation quite yet. Maybe we'll get a better idea once camps start and all that. But Burden going ahead of Odunze is an interesting one to me for sure.
Well, so I was looking at the ADPs and Burden going ahead of Egbuka even. I mean, Egbuka for the first half of the season was lights out, right? And then what happened at the end? But, even Ladd McConkey was going in the second round last year. He's going behind Luther Burden right now. So you're absolutely right. It's interesting. What do you think, Abib? What's your take on the Bears passing situation?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in agreement with Geoff there. I try, you won't find me reaching on any of those guys. I think, when they fall past ADP, I may snag a few shares. This seems to happen every year, and I'm sure it happens for a lot of people drafting. But I always find myself like, all the guys I loved last year, I probably won't be getting any of this year. I think I had my highest owned guy last year was Harold Fannin. I think I had 65% shares, like a ton of shares. And I probably won't be seeing me draft a lot of Fannin. I was a big. I wasn't a huge Luther Burden fan scouting wise, but where he was going in the draft last year, he was a guy that I was very, very much overweight on. So, but again, he's kind of high, and it's hard. I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of really know who to lock in on there. I'm not sure that they necessarily want a replica of what happened in Detroit, where they have kind of a primary true number 1 and a wide receiver like Amon-Ra. And so, I think it may be spread out, and those, in a redraft format, I want my guys to score as many points. I want my guys to have upside, but I don't want to take a lot of those zeros. I don't want to take a lot of those single-digit points. And then you kind of find yourself in a situation where you're trying to make these tough start sit decisions. And so for me, like the confidence level that I have in starting a player plays a big role in whether or not I'm going to draft him or not. So I think, I'm always looking for that stat of like, how accurate were we in starting X player? He may have finished high from a fantasy point standpoint, but if it was spike weeks that you didn't, get to accrue those points or get to add those points into your overall total, then it was for naught, and it probably hurt you. It was two, I don't want to say double negative, but you got hit twice there on the negative side, likely with that. So it's a tough situation.
Yep, absolutely. Good point. All right, I want to look at one roster build here, team 2. We call this hero running back build, right? You get that stud running back, and then you load up on wide receivers. You're confident you can find a second running back later on, but man, you've got 3 starting wide receivers and a flex every week of the season. So we call that hero running back. But it's interesting. Malik Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, Egbuka, Marvin Harrison, and then of course Alec Pierce. All of those guys have upside, but I can't draft Harrison anymore after the last 2 years of watching that guy. I don't know why, but damn, maybe with Kyler out of there, it'll be better, but I don't know. But no, I like the upside on all of that. We're drafted in April. Good roll of the dice on all of that stuff.
I got to point out here at the start of round 6, if we had a time machine to go to last year and tell people Brian Thomas and Parker Washington, both Jaguars receivers, are going in the same round, I think we'd get some confused looks if we were telling people in 2025 that.
Yeah. Well, they didn't watch any football last year then, if that was the case, because if you did see Brian Thomas, then you would know why. All right.
Sure. But man, oh man, that kind of comes as a shock to the system, seeing those two go so close together. I don't think anyone had that on.
You got quarterbacks over on either side of you. Talk about your Jadarian Price pick here.
I think I really liked him in the pre-draft evaluation process. I know there was, there's questions about what he can do in the passing game, but I think it's, one of those situations where he just wasn't necessarily asked to do that. Obviously playing with with a stud right next to him. It was between that pick and Tyler Warren, but there are a number of tight ends on the board. So I felt like, let me do a little bit of a splash pick. His ADP is going to rise. So play the game of waiting too long to grab him, and we'll see. Hopefully, obviously, they took him in the first round, so the hope is that he's a clear starter. And I feel like the competition in that room is fairly low. So the Charbonnet late ACL injury also kind of paves the way for, at the very least, hopefully him starting up until December.
I had to come up here and get ready for it. So he went to the Seahawks. Is that correct?
He went to the Seahawks with the final pick.
I missed that. So
I did too. I just looked it up myself because I was getting ready for this. So I thought you were actually speculating on tomorrow where he was going to go. Then I look and I'm like, nice pick. I mean, that's a landing. You talk about good landing spots. Does it get any better than that spot?
Yeah. Today was an overall I think it was really good for fantasy in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't necessarily know that there were a ton of like just true nut spots, but I think a lot of players landed nicely that are going to have some use on a week-to-week basis. So especially a lot of the wide receivers. So it'll be interesting to see who kind of rises from that group to be the overall rookie wide receiver 1.
No, I agree with you. KC Concepcion going to the Browns, that's a really good spot. And I like that kid. He looked really good last year. Lemon going to the Eagles. Well, A.J. Brown's out, right? And Eagles fans, don't get your hopes up on Dontavian Wicks. Listen, he's a good wide receiver. He's got a good size. Man, that dude drops a lot of balls. He really does. And that Lions game was unbelievable. He was so good in that one. But no, I agree with you. There's some good landing spots for some of the rookies. We'll see, like if Love, honestly, will Love outproduce your pick right now at the end of the year?
That was very interesting. I think I'm probably, I think I'm in the camp of a lot of analysts, fantasy football players, Cardinals fans as that being a very surprise pick. And I don't know. If I were a Cardinals fan, I'd be very upset. Love, but I don't know. I think I'd rather focus on some other areas acquire maybe some 2027 draft picks. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? I mean, I think maybe they think that they are in contention. And so you never want to take that away from a team. We don't know what's going on. So, we'll see.
Yeah. For the fan base, I'm happy for them because they do need a stud. Maybe they're in contention for the first overall pick next year. And Arch Manning will look good with Love in the backfield. So they're planning on that maybe. I don't know. I mean, I just don't think they're a very good team. Offensive line, defensive line, they got a lot of work to do there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So, all right. So we have 4 quarterbacks off the board, 2 of them going in round 6. Joe Burrow was the 3rd quarterback after Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and then Drake May. So we only have 4 quarterbacks off the board in 76 picks. And I think we'll be waiting a while for some more, to be truthful. I'm sure we'll have a couple sprinkle in, but there's still a lot of good quarterbacks out there.
And, we mentioned who are those 0 running back guys going to be targeting in these round 7, 8 here. And I think Harvey, Hubbard, and Tootin to start here. I think they're going to be very popular picks in these rounds with the guys looking to load up on wide receivers early. That strategy has been proven time and time again by a lot of people. And a lot of people live and die by it. And it's interesting to see these guys going here.
Yeah. Well, like you said, if you are going to go 0 running back, let's say you go 4 wide receivers in a row, a quarterback, or whatever. So Price is there. I think Price's value will go up. RJ Harvey is not a bad pick there. So those are a couple of guys. Judkins is a guy that you could get in the 5th round if you went 4 wide receivers, right? And he should be recovered from his injury last year. Henderson is interesting as well. There's another guy who, in the Platinum and the Diamond last year, he was going at the end of the 1st round, first pick of the 2nd round. He's got great talent, but boy, they sure didn't use him enough last year. There's Michael Wilson, who had a good year last year as well. All right, Mekhi Lemon, we were talking about him with Philadelphia, goes in round 7, so we'll throw him out. Tucker Kraft. Oh, Abib, did you take him?
Yeah.
That's a fantastic pick. I'm loving your team now.
Yeah. I think, I have him kind of in the same tier as Sam Laporta, so I kind of go back and forth with them. If he wasn't coming off the ACL, I think it'd be kind of a clear-cut, Kraft situation. But I love where both of these guys are going. I mean, I really do feel like I'm not 100% understanding why there's such a big discrepancy between them, Fannin, and Loveland. I mean, I get the excitement of the rookies entering into or second-year players, but I think those 2 guys really have a shot of being a top 3 overall tight ends, if not the top end, top tight end number 1 overall.
Absolutely. On the Kraft situation, I mean, I was at the game where he got hurt against Carolina, which was just sickening to everybody there. But so that was October, right? That was towards the end of October. 9 months plus, they say he's ahead of schedule. They always say he's ahead of schedule. But I think once we get to training camp and you start seeing, he reports that he's making progress. They're not thinking about putting him on the PUP list. He might not start week 1 or week 2, but I don't think they're going to put him on the PUP list, keep him out 4 weeks. His value is going to go up. He's not going in the 8th round at that point. So nice Pitts. There goes Kyle Pitts, goes after Kraft there, ahead of Fannin. So interesting. But yeah, that's a good speculative pick in April. That's the thing. So what do you think about drafting in April? I mean, a lot of guys wait until training camps open and stuff. Obviously, where you've been drafting, there's a lot of drafts that go on. We run baseball here, so a lot of our guys also play baseball. So our guys don't jump in as early. But what's the advantages of drafting in April, let's say, with a chance to win $300,000?
I mean, I just think you're just drafting a different board. You're drafting, with a different ADP that you're going to see in July, August, September. Yeah. Whether that's an advantage or a disadvantage is probably just going to be based on the year. But I like, to me, this is how I diversify. I'm not a guy who's like, okay, let me try to make sure I have equal percentage of these players. I am very, very aggressive. Yeah. We're sitting down and playing poker. Like I'm an aggressive player. I'm not playing. I'm not playing the percentages. We're going all in and we're going home. But I really, I guess the way that I draft is probably more of a value-based draft. So I really just sort of kind of look, am I getting this guy at value? Where do I project him to finish? I try to get a little bit greedy. If there's a guy going in the 6th round that I think maybe deserves, 3rd, 4th round draft capital, I'll try to wait and grab that guy. And then it feels like I have 3 3rd round players.
Yeah.
And so the idea for me drafting now is that let me try to draft guys whose ADPs are going to rise by the time we get to July, so that hopefully my team looks a little bit strong. But yeah, you have the risk of your guys getting injured, which, I don't think is all that different from drafting in August. But I love it. I mean, I just kind of draft throughout. And for me, it's also, I kind of learn by doing. So it forces me to stay in the fantasy football mindset, be well aware of the news, all the new coaching changes. And by the time, July, August hits, now I'm really in the weeds. Now I'm like, okay, let me look at everybody's O-line rankings. Let me look at, let me see what, so, if I start in July and August, by that point, I feel like I'm drowning in information and trying to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you even imagine doing fantasy baseball and then and then managing your teams while you're doing all these drafted? Okay, you can't imagine that, huh?
I mean, the funny thing is, so I've always loved sports, and I used to I used to just watch everything. Baseball, basketball, football. I grew up here in Houston, so we, obviously we have a pretty decent sports team. Maybe not so good right now, but as I've been playing fantasy football, I've just sort of kind of had to let things go. Yeah. And basketball, I grew up playing basketball. I still play basketball, but I don't even watch it all that much anymore because my focus is just so much on fantasy football.
Yeah. Well, you're making history. You might as well keep adding to it. Keep adding to that resume, right? All right, let's look at the quarterbacks here. We had Caleb Williams as the 5th one. Now we're starting to get a little sprinkle more. Jaden Daniels going 6th as a quarterback. Last year, I know he was going 4th among the quarterbacks. Much earlier, though, right? Like in the 3rd round, 4th round turn. And then Matthew Stafford. Hey, Matthew, I hate to tell you, but they drafted your replacement tonight, 13th overall. I know they called him beforehand, but that's still got to be a kick in the nuts, isn't it? I mean, listen, I was here when Rodgers got drafted and Favre wasn't too happy with it. So we'll see what Matthew says about that one. All right, Jay says, I can't truly come up with rankings until I'm on the clock and have to decide between 2 players. Well, then you have them ranked one way or the other, don't you?
Exactly. I'm in very much agreement with Jake on that one.
Well, you probably got a decision coming up. You're going to have to follow this Kraft pick now, so make it a good one.
Greg mentioned we've been doing baseball, and I gotta say, I didn't know Wando Robinson ended up with the Titans. That's my first double take of the draft, not knowing where he ended up. So
okay, well, thanks for telling me because
they got a new wide receiver core there, I guess.
I knew he wasn't with the Giants, but I didn't know that. So thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. That's my first. They said learning experience. I'm not quite like a bee, but this is my first one of the year I'm really paying attention to.
See, it's another good pick there. I like that one. Again, that landing spot with the Browns is a good landing spot here.
Yeah, and this is kind of probably one of the reasons why I'm less on Fannin this year. And I don't want to discredit Fannin. I think he's still going to produce, but it felt like a situation where he was sort of kind of forced into a situation where there just was not a lot of good options, and there was not a lot of, I don't think, continuity throughout the year with all the injuries they had, some of the turnovers, and just anytime you're a bad team and switching quarterbacks in and out, and Njoku getting hurt. So to me, KC really represents a guy that could potentially go in there and dominate from day one. Yep. And, you kind of mentioned, what's the difference about drafting now versus later. Teams, rosters are not set yet. Trades will happen, cuts will happen, additions will happen. So a lot can happen. And, players like Casey may not hit my starting lineup the first 4 weeks, but he's that type of player that I want to have on my team for the stretch run, when they're trying to evaluate the young rookies, when they're really trying to force them into that, wide receiver 1 role or that RB1 role, to see what they have in that player as they, kind of move into future years and try to build on that. So, it's nice when I can draft him and he can sit on the bench for a while.
Yep, definitely. All right, got to ask you though, who do you think is quarterbacking in Cleveland? Is it Deshaun Watson this year?
Yeah, I believe so. I think I've kind of, been believing that from the get. I've not really been. I did not see.
Shador?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite the dichotomy there again, amongst players and analysts there. But for me, he doesn't seem like a starting quarterback in the NFL, at least as of yet. But we'll see. I mean, we haven't seen Watson in a couple of years, obviously coming off of multiple Achilles and lower extremity injuries. So, but I think he'll be the starter. I think really they just sort of kind of want someone who can run the offense. I'm sure they'll lean on the run game. They or seem to be shoring up the O-line. That's going to be an interesting one. I feel like O-line. I think what I've kind of learned over the years is that don't pay so much attention to the names. Sometimes it's just like, does the line gel?
Yeah.
Do they move together? And sometimes you just can't figure that out. You just don't know until after the fact, right? And then, of course, they seem to get as injured as often as running backs. So who knows what's going to happen kind of midway through the season.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you're on the clock, but you're absolutely right. Like Omari and Hampton looked like a great pick last year. Then they lose both starting tackles, right? And so who saw that coming? So that's why I think Hampton could be much better if Joe Alt is there, healthy, and the other tackle, right? So interesting. Hey, just take a look at Team 12 here as you're making your pick. He did go with Harold Fannin in round 6, and then he took Sadiq, who went with the Jets, who happen to have Geno Smith quarterbacking. So good luck there with Sadiq. But no, he's a really good talent, really good player. Just wish he had a better quarterback. Wish he would have landed a different place there.
But I mean, you could make an argument. He's their number 2 pass catcher now, right?
Yeah.
How many number 2 pass catchers are available? Where are we? End of round 8 where he was taken, or start of round 9.
Yep.
So it's the Jets' number 2 pass catcher, but who knows? He might get a lot of targets based on how bad that wide receiver core is.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what was with Geno last year. I actually had him on a best ball team, and my goodness, was he terrible last year. I don't know if it was the whole Raiders coaching situation, play calling, whatever you want to call it. He was just awful last year. All right, Rachaad White, new home in Washington. So you're looking for depth, or what are you looking for when you're at this point in round 9?
Yeah, so again, I've been drafting probably since the Super Bowl. So, so drafting pre-draft, you're kind of, taking quite a bit of risk with some of these backfields because they can get blown up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I was kind of, I've been drafting some Tony Pollard and some Rachaad White just because they've been going late, and there's been speculation that Love is going to fall. So, looking at that RB room, I think he'll definitely be the third down hurry up back.
Yeah.
He's played with Jaden Daniels in the past. Who knows? Maybe he'll get used in the red zone a little bit. So, a little bit of depth, but also a little bit of unknown. We could see a little bit of a resurgence. It was really between him and another running back, but I'm just kind of playing the ADP game here.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the early talk was Love might fall to them at 7, and then all of a sudden he was going to go to the Giants at 5, and then I thought it was just a rumor that he'd go to Arizona at 3. I thought they were just trying to trade that pick for multiple picks, but yeah, absolutely, White is much more valuable now without Love there for sure. So tomorrow will be interesting. What are your thoughts on the rookies that haven't been drafted yet? This is kind of fun because you can speculate later on. We're not throwing any names out right now.
Yeah. Yes, I think, from a running back standpoint, I'm not, necessarily in love with anyone. I think it's going to be very much landing spot dependent. Jonah Coleman depending on the day, I may like him. Emmett Johnson, somewhat of a fan. But honestly, to me, they all kind of seem like backups and committee players.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a diamond in the rough there that'll pop up, at some point later on in the year, but he'll probably come off of waivers, I think. It's the wide receivers to me, I think will be interesting. But I'd like the landing spot for a lot of these guys because I don't think that they a lot of them necessarily took too much away from the incumbent or the wide receiver one in their respective situations. But I feel like they could also end up being some pretty decent wide receiver too. So
yeah. All right. One guy that did go in the end of the draft, Jeff, before we came on, Omar Cooper from Indiana, went to the Jets as well. So
okay, I missed that one.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know if he's going to get any more catches than Sadiq, but yeah, that's a good start, So again, the Jets, if they play their cards right, they'll get the number 1 pick next year, get a franchise quarterback. Then they've got a couple of nice pieces in place here with the skill positions. So looking good there.
I just have to point out a little housekeeping update that we had to roll back the Tyreek Hill pick. And the comment in chat was, "My son's an idiot. He had Tyreek Hill in the queue." So,
and you went along with that as the commissioner here?
I'll accept that.
Okay,
he alerted us before the next pick. So Sam Laporta went to team number 7 right after Abib there.
Okay, all right. What Jay is asking is the run of running back 1 health going to continue this season? Well, we certainly had a good run last year. Anytime CMC stays healthy, it's a good run. But Abib, I'm sure more injuries are on the way, right?
Yeah. I mean, if anything, if you want to bet on something, bet on regression. Either going one way or the other. So yeah, I think it's important. I mean, but there are definitely a lot more running back by committee, so I think that also helps out when it comes to some of the injuries. And you just don't see a lot of the true bell cow situations. I mean, even the guys going in number 1 and 2, Gibbs and Bijan, they obviously had some really good 2A compliments that allowed them to stay fresh. CMC was the only one that sort of kind of really saw a lot of touches, but a lot of his touches were also in the air game. So I think that also takes a little bit away. It helps him out a little bit too as well.
They were smart with him. Get him out in the open, little swing passes and stuff like that. He runs good between the tackles, but you don't have to do that all the time. All right. So Steve says he's been drafting against you way too much already this year, which I know he's been doing a lot of drafting as well, right?
Yeah. I pretty much know if I'm going to be in a draft that he's going to be in there as well, which tells me he's been drafting a lot more than I have.
Yeah, he's drafting baseball and he was drafted football. He's going duo this year. So, all right, maybe we'll get Steve on the show on Sunday night if we do a live stream and fill that baby up. So, it'd be fun to talk with him as well. But no, you guys are great guys. You're great players. You guys are really doing a lot of football. So, we love having you in the NFFC. We'll have some fun together for sure. I met Steve for the first time last year in Las Vegas. He was drafting in our Platinum League, and of course, he won that league. So him and David Hubbard won 120,000, I think it was. So that was a good year for him.
That just means he has more money to roll over this year.
There you go. You're singing to me. All right, there goes Jalen Hurts. Man, he fell all the way. What do we have? 6, 7, 8, 9th quarterback, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. So this is put up or shut up time, I think, for Jalen Hurts this season. I think Eagles fans and even their management are saying, settle down, start making some passes. But he likes to run if he doesn't have his first wide receiver open. So we'll see. Trevor Lawrence going right before him. Like you said, Laporta, he went almost 2 rounds or did go 2 full rounds after Kraft. I think that's good value for Team 7 there. Tight end position. Even Team 4, Jake Ferguson should get a lot of catches as well, but good stuff here. All right, my man Jaden Reed went in round 9. I'm going to say it right now. Jaden Reed's going to have a big bounce back season, baby. He's playing for that 5th-year rookie contract, so away we go. So
all about that health, though, right? I mean, man.
Yeah.
Gotta stay on the field.
I know it. All right, Steve, you're not blushing. I know you're not blushing there. All right. 6, 7. I don't know. Is that the kids' numbers now? Am I missing something or not? Oh, it's okay.
I'd have my 5-year-old in here. She wasn't sleeping doing it for you.
My kids are way too old. I don't know the hip stuff anymore. So, all right. Well, we're going to stay on for a couple more rounds and we'll let Abib finish up here. But we just wanted to see, Jeff does know that kind of stuff. Jeff knows. But we just wanted to kind of show what the online championship is all about. Again, $300,000 grand prize this year. We're going to blow this baby out. there's a lot of good things happening behind the scenes here. You know, Football Guys being our promotional partner is going to help an awful lot. Dave Klug is in tonight's draft. I don't know what spot he has, but Dave is going to do video tomorrow morning. Look for it on footballguys.com about this draft, about the rookies, about the roster build. So check that out on footballguys.com. Dave Klug, Jeff Bell, and Joey Wright are going to do that tomorrow morning. So look for that. But yeah, we're going to try to keep filling these up every night as we go forward. Beeb, one thing I want to ask you about, I think it's tough to draft this early without knowing the schedules, because you don't know the backup, like quarterback. Do they have the same bye weeks and stuff? Does that bother you at all or not?
No. Honestly, I just don't even consider bye weeks as I'm drafting.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I just think by the time, I mean, for me, honestly, I'm just like trying to get as many players as I can as possible. And then every week I'll just be figuring out who's going to start. Yeah. Because I think by the time we get to like week 12 or 13, this guy's injured. This guy has no wide receiver. This guy's lost his entire O-line. Yeah. He picked up, who's the waiver wire pickup? Like maybe Flacco. I don't know. Whoever you picked up, Brissett off the waiver. So many things can happen. I think players get dropped. So I don't worry so much about it. I think, even when it comes to, at least in redraft anyway, when it comes to stacking and looking at kind of the end of the year, week 14, 15, 16 slate, I just don't pay a lot of attention to it, to be quite honest.
Yeah. You're trying to get the best players available, and you'll manage that roster when the time comes. And like you say, if you've got a backup quarterback who's got the same bye week and it happens to be week 9, you deal with it in week 9 then, I guess, right? Yeah. So, no, it makes absolutely good sense. But I do know we do see that here in the NFFC, that people do want to know the bye weeks. Jonathan Brooks, talk a little bit about that. A lot of upside, obviously, injuries last year, but a good situation there.
Yeah, I'm surprised to kind of see him go this late, but I think that's definitely a guy that, if as soon as we get a clip of him in mini camp and he's running full speed, or he's a full go in training camp, I mean, his ADP is going to, rise. And you kind of see, you'll see, the situation will pan out kind of throughout the season as far as, what it'll look like with him and Hubbard. But young stud running back, I'm a UT alum, so I've seen a lot of Jonathan Brooks, and I think he's a really, really good young player. Just tough, unfortunate events that have happened with him. But the good thing is that he's young, and so from like a health standpoint, younger guys tend to rebound more and have a much more likely chance of hitting their, getting back to 100%, as opposed to kind of being 30 years old and having an ACL injury.
Absolutely. Buying on the talent, and he's got a lot of talent. He's 23 years old or whatever. So let's just take a little bit look at the quarterbacks, if you will. Again, in round 9, you're getting Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence. In round 10, you're getting Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott. The Herbert one, I'll just point out, I mean, that goes to Team 5, who took Josh Allen as the first quarterback, right? So you wonder if Herbert's going to see the field for this guy or not. But, I mean, if you're drafting a quarterback that high, you really don't need a backup for a while. But he likes the talent, so he's got 2 quarterbacks there. But he's the first team that took 2 quarterbacks there. But, and again, we look at stacking sometimes. Dak Prescott, he started out with CeeDee Lamb, right? That makes a lot of sense right there. I don't know if we've got other ones on here. Jaden Daniels. Are you a stacking guy, Abib, or not?
No, not in redraft. No, I mean, if the situation works out, I can kind of understand it. But the only time I'm really like stacking in that scenario, and it's more just sort of kind of me again, wanting to get value at ADP. It's just if I identify a team that I feel like has been significantly underrated. Yeah. And then it just sort of kind of works out naturally, because there's always, sometimes, you always find this one, a team where there's a big disconnect as far as, you got 2 or 3 wide receivers going in the top 4 rounds. You got a tight end going in the top 6 round. Yeah. And then their quarterback is like sometimes not even being drafted. Right. Those types of situations I try to kind of adjust for.
Yep. Makes sense. All right. So team 4 took Puka and Stafford. That one is there. Team 6 has Caleb and Loveland. I mean, those aren't stacks like 3 of them, but that is quarterback, pass catcher, if you will. Josh Allen, I don't really see. Burrow, did he hook up with anybody? Nope. Drake May, I don't see a hookup there. So not a whole lot. Prescott and Lamb makes an awful lot of sense. Lamar, nothing there. So a little bit of stack.
Waddle.
Nixon and Waddle.
Jalen Waddle.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. Again, yeah, one of those double takes again.
Hey, I know where Bo Bichette is, damn it. I know where Bo Bichette is.
We got this baseball mindset.
That's right. All right. This is a great pick, Abib. Before we can leave here, let's talk about your quarterback situation and your thought process tonight.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in this format, if I had one team, I would have gone with another quarterback here. But again, just kind of play the ADP game, and then I'll probably maybe be looking at getting another quarterback in this round coming up. Depending on what's on the board, but yeah. I mean, this is one reason why I like to wait. I mean, even in this format, in the double-digit rounds, you're seeing some of the quarterbacks that are available, and I guess the way that I think about it too is, I'm rarely ever just starting the same quarterback week in and week out. I'm usually rostering 2-3 quarterbacks, and I've done that for years, even when it was kind of unpopular, because I play the matchups, and even more so, I play the Vegas totals. So if it's a high Vegas total game, then that guy's going to be in my lineup. And so at the end of the year, between my start-sit decisions, I like to think that I've basically had a top 3 QB over that time frame without having to spend top 3 QB.
Do you ever take a top QB at all?
Yeah, I'll mix it in, because you never want to find yourself in a situation where you have 0 Josh Allen teams or Lamar teams in the finals, and then they go off, and then you're just screwed. So
absolutely.
I'll fit them in at some point.
All right, I'm putting Steve's post back up here. Back-to-back champ. That's who we're talking to, folks, here, right here.
Listen to this guy.
Absolutely. All right, we appreciate everybody joining us tonight. The reason I don't go the whole time is because I'm old. I must go to bed pretty soon. As you can see, I need my beauty sleep. Jeff is much younger than me. He needs his beauty sleep. So
I need a lot of it.
He needs a lot of it. But no, it's always fun just to show these early rounds so people get a mixture of the roster builds and where the players are going. Again, I'll do it again on Saturday and Sunday if we fill her up. So come join us at playnffc.com. This is the Footballguys Online Championship, $300,000 grand prize. Abib, it was a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to meeting you someday in person, maybe in Las Vegas. But come join us again anytime on one of these live streams, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night and enjoy the NFL draft tomorrow. Again, playnffc.com. Come join us anytime. We're going to do a lot of these. All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on the High Stakes Fantasy Network podcast. To get in the game, go to playnfc.com.